And we are here. So thank you, Charlotte. Thank you, Karen. Anybody who's new, I say this every live stream. If you're new, we only know you're here if you comment. So you're welcome to be a fly in the wall and not let us know you're here. But if you want to participate, you want to let us know you're here, we actually really love it. And you need to make a comment. So make a comment, give us, where you're from, whatever you want us to know. Here's Teresa. Yay. So we have Teresa. So hey, Teresa. And I have a couple questions initially before we start our conversation. Oh, look at that banner cuts you off, Charlotte. Did you see that?
It's all good. I'm used to getting decapitated. Can we do it from the other way so it gets rid of the double chin? I'd like that even better.
Yeah, I know, me too. Well, I'll show comments, but I won't let them stay there for long. It's weird because I have so much space down here. Do you see all the space I have for them?
Yeah.
Why it pushes you up, I don't know. Anyway, a couple questions before we dive into whatever road we go down is number one, what are you grateful for today?
Sunshine. I don't know if you guys saw those storms that came across the central US yesterday. Literally, guys, they closed down the town for thunderstorms yesterday. I kid you not, only in Kentucky do they shut down the schools for thunderstorms. But it did rain nonstop yesterday, the day before, and then I just got back from vacation in Oregon, and it rained the entire time in Oregon. But today, it is shiny and beautiful, and the flowers are out. So there's my grateful.
Okay, awesome. Real quick, Karen, before you answer, I was 18 years old, and I lived in Seattle for 1 month. My boyfriend and I were having a motorhome built for us. And before I went on the sailboat. So we were there exactly a month. It was 30 days delayed. And we hiked and had a great time in the Puget Sound. And it rained every single day but one day. And it was for the month of September. And it rained every day but one day. Yeah.
We got very wet. The first purchase we made was raincoats.
All right, Karen, your turn. What are you grateful for today?
I'm grateful. Well, sunshine was one of them too. It's just so beautiful out here today. We're looking at 90 degrees this weekend, and I'm super excited about that. But even more so, I have a lot of friends right now from years ago and more recent friends that are leaning into me for some pretty important things in their life right now. And I'm just so blessed that they feel like they can count on me for stuff. So
yeah.
That warms Mother Teresa's heart.
Yes. Hey, Rachel, we're not leaving your comment up because it's cutting off Charlotte, but hey, Rachel. Cool. And I am grateful. Yesterday, I got to watch, I have a grandbaby who's 1 month old today. And yesterday, my daughter and my son-in-law went for a 2-hour date. Oh, yay. Nice. The balloons are yeah, we went on a 2-hour date and I got to babysit. So that was really fun. So, and then Saturday, Stella from Oregon is coming down and staying with me. So I will have all my children and grandchildren in my home for Mother's Day, and my heart is already full.
That's really awesome. So will this be the first time the two babies meet?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's very awesome.
Yeah, that's very awesome. Yeah.
Lots of babies.
Lots of babies. All right. So now my second question. Boy, I must be tired. What is my second question I told you guys I was going to ask you guys?
When did we know we were going to be?
Yes. Thank you. Yes. Whoa. Well, I've had a long coaching day. I've been putting a lot of coach calls in since I'm off next week. So yes, my brain is a little bit fried. All right. So yes, this is business banter, right? So in honor of business banter, my example is when I owned a flight school, the day I walked into the flight school, I knew I was a business owner. When my ex and I owned a restaurant, I knew we were business owners. We owned a restaurant. When I started real estate 30 years ago, it took me a while before I actually realized I was a business owner. So my question to Charlotte and Karen is because you're both in the real estate industry, in mortgage lending, broker, realtor, at what point, was it right away or was it a journey that you went, aha, I'm a friggin' business owner? Karen, you first.
Well, I had a very small glimpse early on, and that was the first day at the office. And I went to my desk, which was 100% empty. It was just a blank slate. And I walked to the front desk and I asked the gal, where's the supply closet? Because I always worked at a corporate office where there was a supply closet. And she said, Well, that's down at Office Depot.
Good answer.
Yeah, it was. But beyond that, it was when I didn't mind spending the extra hours in the business, the late nights, the weekends. When I was doing that and I didn't mind, I realized I was actually owning this business and growing this business.
Yeah.
There was no resentment there.
Yeah.
No resentment. Yeah. But was it a good aha moment, or did it teach you something? Did you do something different when you said, oh, I'm a business owner versus this is a job?
Yes, it did, because that's when I realized that I had control over whether or not I was at the office late at night. And a lot of late nights were fine with me. That was my choice. However, I also realized that I didn't have to do it that way if I structured my day better.
Yeah.
Trained my clients.
Mm.
And I don't say that as if they're the ones that need training, but just putting some boundaries up around my business.
Yeah. Very cool. So how about you, Charlotte?
So I have a two-part answer because I'm not actually self-employed, of course. I am a
Yes.
lender, so I do work for a company, but I do remember taking the leap into commission only, which would be very similar, right? So I went to commission only and realized, I remember when I decided to make that jump. I had worked at a bank. As a lender, we have the option of taking a base salary at some companies and making a smaller commission. So it's kind of a safety net, so to speak. Or you can dive all in and say the sky is the limit. However, I only get paid on when I close. So I remember I was working at the bank, and I've always been a hustler, right? There's that motivation,
Yes.
just that person that wants to do things, and realize that one, when you are that type of employee as a lender, you do have more stringent guidelines, more regulations, more red tape that you've got to go through for every turn. And so I realized I didn't like that red tape, and I just said, this isn't for me. This structure is not for me. I am ready to go in 100% commission. Scared. I laid in bed. I was talking to my husband. I'll never forget. I'm like, am I making this huge mistake? Because on top of being commission only, there was also the idea that at my old company, I had some leads. I had, it was a bank. So we had if I was low, I would dial for dollars, and I would do that. And when I moved over to this, it's more like what you all do. It's like, I have got to go build connections. I've got to go have people know to reach out to me for mortgages without me calling them first.
Right.
So I laid in bed. I was like, am I making the right decision? Am I crazy? And my husband just looked at me and goes, you got this. I mean, those were his words. You got this. So I dove in and never have looked back. It's been an amazing transition.
Yeah.
But there was a second time, and this was more recently, that I had to change my business to really put on that. Even though I'm W-2, and even though I've got health insurance, guys, I'm blessed. I mean, that's the one benefit of being this kind of employee. I have some of those benefits. And so in my mind, I didn't treat my finances like I was self-employed.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until recently that I really structured all of my finances like I'm self-employed, because as a commissioned person, I should pay myself a salary, not what I'm getting commissioned, but do the whole buckets and do all of those things. And I just really hadn't done that. So there was a turning point in the last 12 months that I was like, I need to change the way I've already changed the way I do my business. Now I've got to change the way I handle my personal finances to really recognize that I need to treat this like a business financially. So I made
Good for you.
Good decision to make as a commission only person.
Yeah. And so to your point, we're always learning, right?
Yeah.
We're always having those aha moments. And I'm sure you've had people in your life being a coach or a family member saying, hey, you need to handle your finances XYZ, right? But at some point, we're always learning. We hear something right at the right time. It's like, okay, I got to set up my buckets better.
Right. Yep.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah. Very cool. So yes. So same with me, leaving the corporate world and having my own coaching company. I knew right away I was a business owner. But when I first went into real estate 30 years ago, it took a while for me to connect the dots to, oh, I am a business owner, right? My broker is not my business, isn't, owning my business, which it's kind of like what Karen said. where's the supply closet?
Right.
Where
Yeah.
are the leads?
Or what happens when I have that slow month? Like,
Yeah.
I can't do anything. There's no one to go ask for money for at this point. I am the boss. I'm the boss of that paycheck. I better get serious.
Yeah.
Yep.
That was a little bit of a moment for me as a broker, right? When I realized that I was the company owner, when somebody asked me a question that I would have normally turned around and asked my broker, and I turned around and there was no one there because I
Yeah.
am that broker now, right? So it stops here. And that was nerve-wracking, and I thought it was very cool. I'm like, okay, good. This is what I want to do.
Mhm.
And I kind of changed some of my daily habits to be
Yeah.
able to rise up to the task.
That's
Yeah.
interesting
So
because go ahead.
Teresa, Rachel, anybody else who's listening, if you want to put in the comments, when did you realize you were a business owner? If you are, I know Rachel is, I know Teresa is, but if someone else is listening and you want to put that in there, let us know. It'd be very cool. Okay, so another thing that we all have in common here today is all three of us obviously are women business owners. And so did anybody tell you you couldn't do it because you were a woman, or did you have any self-limiting beliefs being female? Or no?
That's tough. I've always been more of a guy. I hate to say this, but like,
Okay, I gotta know what that means.
you know what I mean? Like, I was reading this book. It was The Confidence Factor, and it was about women and the confidence that a woman has versus the confidence that a man has, and how they just walk in and think that they can do it. And it was talking about how women, and I'm like, I'm kind of a guy. So I don't know that anybody questioned me because, like, I might bulldoze you.
So I'm okay if you say that's a guy thing. My perspective on it is our drive. And I do know the three of us. I know myself. I am a overachiever, very driven. I know Karen is. Charlotte, I know you are. So I call it that we have that gene. We have the overachiever drive gene. Not everybody has that, right? In their genetic makeup or profile, right? So okay. That's very cool. How about you, Karen?
I didn't have any limiting beliefs being a woman. In fact, I have kind of a good story along with that. It's probably a big part of the reason why I am where I am. I started in this business in the title and escrow side, and I was a sales rep. So lenders and real estate agents were my clients. And I had a big lender territory, and my direct manager pulled myself in along with one of my employees to a conference room. Both of them were men. And my direct manager says that they were going to give my lender territory to my sales rep because he was a guy and he felt that lenders would have a better rapport with a guy. And
ouch.
So, yeah, well, yes and no. Here I am. Right.
Oh, is that what was that the straw?
That was it. That was it. A big middle finger, slammed the door, and I went and signed up for my real estate license. So
high five for taking that step, right?
I don't need this. He's being
so high five to bad managers, because I have a bad manager story on why I quit, right?
Yes.
So it's like, high five to bad managers. They push us out the door. Yeah.
They do. And it's stories like that I try to remind myself and people around me that I care about. When that stuff is going on, it's not a bad thing. It hurts while it's happening and it's confusing while it's happening. But if you get out of the way and just see what your path is, it's usually for a reason.
Yeah.
There's something good. No, absolutely. That's right.
Yeah. Yeah, the universe speaks, and sometimes we hear it, and sometimes we are really good at having selective hearing. Like my dog Charlie definitely has selective hearing. When I yell, "Come, Charlie," and then if he wants to. Right?
It's like, how cute are the squirrels that I'm taking right now?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to beat them, right? So it's like, well, does she just kind of yell at me and is disgusted with me, but I'm going to go chase the squirrels anyway, or do I obey? So yeah, it's about a 50-50 thing. So same thing with it when we listen to the universe, right? It screams sometimes and we still don't hear it.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I will say there's probably a turning point in my 40s that I've always been that driver, but I had a much more of a tendency to feel like I needed to please the bosses, right? Please the people above me. Um, some things switched. I don't know if it was just age and wisdom, and I don't think it was one of those where I had a bad situation. Maybe, actually, you know what it was? I do remember. It was, I was creating a bad situation in my head that wasn't there because I was projecting that need for affirmation. And
Mm-hmm.
that changed. Now I became more comfortable in my skin in my mid to late 40s. And I would say that is probably something that was given to me a long time ago that I carried with me for a very long time. And I'm sure it had something to do with the fact that I was a woman in a very salesy business, which is not typical. Not anymore. I
Yeah.
will tell you. Can I just tell you, I am so blessed. I work for a company where I think 90% of the higher ups are women. And like in your industry, think about it. I mean, we are in a very much a woman ruled industry. And
Yes.
we
We are.
really, we rock at it, which I think I'm
Yep.
very proud of our industry for that. I feel like we kind of break the norm. It's
Yep.
cool.
Great point. I love it. The only time I've ever had to, really stand up for being a woman and really was challenged with being a business owner when I was learning how to fly airplanes in Maine. Was definitely a male dominated, what the heck is a cute 26-year-old doing here in this industry? If the Me Too movement existed back then, I'd be one of the people in the front line holding, a picket sign with saying Me Too on it. It was bad. Other than that, I've never had any struggles, especially in the real estate industry. Not, maybe my own voice in my head, sure, sometimes. Or maybe a well-intentioned family member saying, what the heck are you thinking, kind of thing. Why are you doing this, right? And being an external sort of saboteur, but being a woman, no. So it's nice in this industry not to have that.
Would either one of you say that you have suffered from, there's that whole gap of income and asking or thinking that we deserve a higher income? And I can say that I have experienced this at different levels in my life. There is a part of me, and I do think that it's because I am a woman, that it's in here. It's not projected on me, but it is in here where I don't believe that I should pay myself more, right? I want to give, I don't want to take that much. And some male counterparts, and I'm very much generalizing, and obviously
this is not when you're a man.
Right. Yeah, right. But there's that part where, maybe I don't have to take that much, right? Maybe I don't need to do that. Or when I'm negotiating for a base, a bonus or something like that. And again, this a little bit different from what you guys have to do. I do feel like as a woman, we have to push through that. I don't know what it is. I don't know. Maybe it's just society that's put that on us for a long time. I don't know. Or maybe it's just in our DNA. That is a whole nother discussion. But I do think that I have to push through that boundary and remember, no, Jack over here is going to be asking for this much more. And I do a better job than Jack. I'm going to ask for this.
Yeah. Yes. Well, so, knowing, how you guys are kind of made up, because I've known you for so many years, I do coach a woman who's a business owner, not at all in the real estate industry. However, to honor her confidentiality, since we still are coaching, nowhere near the real estate industry, making close to probably $500,000 a year is like, how much more do I need to make? I'm like, however much more you want to make. I mean, if you don't want to grow your business and you want to kind of stabilize it, that's great. It's no one saying you have to go to another level. And then it's like, no, I want to. It's a struggle, with very caring, giving people who want to give back. And, we all do, right?
Yeah.
However, there's nothing shameful for building your bank account either.
For building your wealth. Yeah. And there is just this, I look at the male counterparts, even in my business or around me, and I don't know that they have that same inner dialogue that I have. So I would say that it's not the world around me that's doing, but there's some inner dialogue that somehow got put there, whether it's DNA or whether it's influence, I don't know. But there is some dialogue there. So I try to recognize it quickly.
Well, I'm going to bounce into the comment that Teresa made around, this is going to be a long circle, so bear with me, Charlotte. So Teresa said, I'll pull it up. Rejection is protection. So we were, different topic we were talking about, but that's from the book Worthy, right, Teresa? Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure that's from the book Worthy that we read as a group. And my coaching clients read that book as a group. And rejection is protection. It's a great book called Worthy. And so the circle around, Charlotte, is do you feel worthy to make that kind of money?
Right. That's absolutely true. And can I just tell you, Teresa, I thought because you guys are seeing me fiddle with my glasses are, I don't know what's going on. Maybe I scratched them. I can barely see right now. I thought it said rejection is projection. And I'm like, I like that. I'm going to like both.
Yeah.
Rejection projects you to the next level, right? It makes you go to the next option. That's now that you've corrected me, I'm like, oh yeah, that is what that says.
Yes, but that's okay. So Teresa, we have a new one-liner, right? We're trying to use it, right? Rejection is projection. Because somebody tells me I can't do something, my middle finger goes right up. Right? Yeah, I'll show you.
Mike takes a step back when he's near me and someone says something like that to me. He just like steps back because he doesn't want to be caught.
I know better.
I know, Karen. You're going to have your pickleball racket in your hand and you're going to smack him across the head.
Oh yeah. Well, it's interesting, Charlotte, your perspective on that. I can't say that I ever put a limit on what I felt I was worthy of making. However, as my income has grown, I love and value what it allows me to do for others. And that's what makes me want to have more. Mm-hmm. Right. And it's very interesting. I look back at the years of my income, and each year I was very proud of what it was. And now I look back and I think, I really can't believe that I thought that was sort of the top at that time. Right.
Yeah.
And that's what allows me to now, to kind of comment on what Tanya was talking about, that client of hers, and the amount of money they're making now. And their question to her is, well, if I went, and this is for any of us, if we went from this point to this point, who's to say we can't do that again 10, 20 times?
Yeah. And if you could, what would you accomplish? Is there something to reach for? I mean, if you've outgrown every single dream and every single goal, maybe you do need to start taking some time off. But if you're here and you can get here and maybe even there, if you get here, what does that allow you to do? Like really specifically think, like, what does that mean if I have that?
Yeah. I'm really good at setting new goals after a goal, right? So I don't know that, if I'm living on the beach with this huge family compound with all my families there, so now I'm throwing out in the universe like one of my fantasies, right?
Have your kids agreed to this yet?
No. That's why I said fantasy. Right? I love to have this huge home on the beach.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Like like a patio thing in the middle, and and then they're all spread out with all of our own privacies, right? But yeah, here we all are in the middle. Of course, nobody's agreed to any of this, but that's a fan. I'm good with that. If I reach that, I'll think of something else.
We'll go to the next one. Yeah. Wait, I can dream big. I can dream real big.
Same here.
I will say that there are maybe even not the driven thing, but the voices, Chania and I, when we've talked, you have told me to change my channel. There is and I think we all suffer from this, but this is something I'd love to know. I'd love to go out and 100 driven, successful women and men and see if that inner dialogue why do you think you can do this dialogue? Do women have that more than men? I feel like maybe we do.
Well, we might have different dialogue, but everybody has an internal saboteur. I haven't met every single human on earth. Maybe that's too broad of a statement. Babies don't have them. However, I have not in 10 years of coaching, I just exceeded 5,000 hours of coaching hours because with being in the International Coaching Federation, we are required to track our hours. And when we hit 5,000, we're considered a master coach. So yay, I'm celebrating that. And so in the 5,000 hours of coaching, I've not met a human that didn't have some sort of self-limiting belief or saboteur voice. They're there, and some manage it better than others.
Yeah. I think there's that idea that some people believe that if you give them, I'm going to give my example. I can actually give my personal example. So I want to speak. I want to speak at a big keynote type.
You're doing a
speaker.
TEDx in
Right.
2025.
That's
Yes.
it, right? So I have this and I get really excited about my dream. And then that saboteur in the back is, you really need to do this, this, and this before you even think about it. How
There
could
you
you
go.
think about this until you
Yeah.
do this and this? And then I know other people that, specifically guys, that they're like, I'm going to do this. And it doesn't matter if I've done all this stuff. I'm just going to go do it. Like they don't have that need to validate themselves before they get there. And that is a very big generalization. But that's something I have to fight constantly. Like, no, stop. Just, you can just go do.
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. So, I'm challenging you to go start applying for TEDx talks.
Okay.
Yep.
I just learned that somebody that I play pickleball with, Tanya's shocked that the conversation just started that way again, but
Yep.
she actually coaches people for TEDx talks.
There you go.
Oh, how cool is that? Nice.
And I have a guest speaker. So in my coaching practice, my clients have pop-up trainings. And so I have a gal, Nasheen, who is a coach who does the same thing. So
Right.
we need to connect them, Karen.
Yes.
But she is doing a pop-up training on speaking because she's a speaker coach / she's done 3 TEDx, and so she coaches on that too. In fact, Teresa, who's commenting, is taking one of her workshops right now. So
Oh, very nice.
Very cool.
celebrating coaches.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
We all
Yep.
need
Yep. Hold on, let me see the comment. You're already doing these lives beautifully, Charlotte. See, there you go.
Thanks.
All right.
Good
so
leader. Good leader.
I didn't realize how fast the time, it always is so fast. We're going to start timing these longer. Obviously, we've got NAR, the changes. We've talked about it. We keep talking about the July thing that's coming up, which Karen had brought up. She had heard it might be extended till August. So anyone listening, if you have an update for us, it looks like it might be extended a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel things are settling in. Like, I'm glad we've had notice so we could practice, prepare. So what are you hearing, Karen, out in the field with being a broker and producing agent? What's the temperature?
There's a lot of concern that with this change, we're going to actually create some problems. And I have to say that, because real estate commissions have always been negotiable, I'm not so sure that we solved a problem with this lawsuit, unfortunately. And the biggest concern with what it can create is it may, at least for a while, encourage buyers to go directly to the listing agent with the idea that they might be able to not have to pay their own commission, right?
Yeah.
And with that, we're going to have, so let me back up, dual agency. Anyone that's in real estate knows what dual agency is. For those of you that are not actually in it, it's when the same company represents the buyer and the seller. In a large company, you have 100 or 200 agents. It's likely not really a problem. However, what this level of dual agency that I'm talking about is where it's actually the same agent representing the buyer and the seller, which happens. But I think we're going to see more of it. And there's issues with representation there. There can be issues with representation, but the biggest problem that we're kind of forecasting is our E&O insurance on that. Because when
Interesting.
The large majority of E&O claims come from exactly that type of file, where it's the same agent, not office, representing the buyer and the seller. And one of the reasons is that when there's 2 different agencies and then 2 different E&O insurance companies, one of them's going to win and one of them's going to lose, or they're going to split somewhere in the middle. When it's the same company and the same insurance agency, it doesn't matter which side wins, that agency's paying it out.
Yeah.
That's going to come right down on the backs of the brokers, and then therefore also on the backs of the agents for higher E&O fees.
Yeah. So I had I was a guest with Lee Brown, a broker, realtor in the Carolinas, and she said something similar to what you said. And also what she's finding is brand new agents who are just getting their license right now, right? There's no fear. There's no question what's going to happen. It is what it is for them. So I find that to be interesting and true, right? Charlotte, how about in your industry? Is it settling down? Is it getting more questions?
I will tell you that for us, the main depositories have kind of come up with their stance so far. As long as it continues to be something that is normally paid by the seller, it's not going to change any rules. If we see the tides turn to where it is not a typical seller paid closing cost, then there would be some rules around that. But I feel like that's years in the future, right? I don't think we're going to get there with an immediate change. But I'll tell you, the dialogue in the client world, because I think clients are a little more open to talk to lenders about stuff like that because they feel like we can give them kind of the backstory. And let me just tell you, they are saying multiple times, almost. So, first of all, I'm not that client facing anymore. So when I'm talking to a client, it's only because one of my past clients has called me. I don't originate.
Right.
My team originates. So for me to have heard this at least 6 times from my past clients, that's just me. And I don't even do this anymore. But every time I have a conversation, it's, well, I hear that I'm going to get a break on my commissions. Well, I hear that I'm going to get cheaper commissions. Well, I hear that if I wait till July, I'm going to save some money. So your buyers are hearing this. It is very important that you have that conversation. Let them know what the change is, what they can expect right up front. The other thing that I'm hearing on the real estate front, because again, as a lender, I hear both. I hear that realtors are sick to death of hearing about NAR. I put together like this great, can I just tell you, I'm going to pat myself. It's probably my very favorite presentation that I've put together for agents. It is a value-driven business. Yeah. And I put this together really thinking that it was for buy-side agents, specifically buy-side agents that really work with leads, and they haven't had to convert a lead immediately into a client, right? Yeah. Because that's kind of what needs to happen. You've got to sign a contract with this person right up front. And can I just say to all the realtors out there, I had an agent at one of these events say to me, well, I've been told that I could just do a 1-day contract. You chicken. No, absolutely no. What the cuss? That's what we're going to go to. Oh, we're just going to do a 1-day contract. Okay. So now you're possibly going to have to reduce your commission depending on what's going forward. And now you're saying you're going to do more paperwork?
Yeah.
No. Yeah. So I'm out there preaching heavily, no 1-day contracts. Learn how to show your value immediately. And so that's pretty much what I trained, but I took all of my NAR references out because I was so sick of it.
Right. I'm ready to talk about, I'm actually ready to talk about interest rates again. And I was so tired of talking about them. Now I'm like, oh, I can't do this NAR stuff anymore.
Lack of inventory. Can we go back to that conversation?
Right?
Yes. Well, what's interesting in my industry is when I coach my clients or talk to people, business owners, I'm always saying you need to be able to articulate your value. And when this came up, it was like, bingo. And again, I'm patting myself on the back. Right. Not only do we need to know our value, because I know Karen and Charlotte and Marianne and, Teresa and Rachel. I know you know your value, but I take it a step further and kudos if either of you want to say it before I say it. What do you need to, do you know what I'm going to say next? I'm putting you on the spot and I apologize, but I'm still putting you on the spot.
You've got to know how to know and show your value is what I'm
saying. Articulate your value.
Yeah, you got to show it. Right? You got to show it. And I think the biggest difference, because all of the good agents, the bad agents aren't your competition. Nothing changes. The bad agents have never been your competition. They are what they are. Right.
Hold on. I'm going to interrupt for just a second because I had a coach call on this today. However, I have a client who's, asking for 6% and they said yes. And now they're like, well, I heard this. And so will you do it for 5? And so now they're they're under contract. She's, listing their home. And now they're trying to backtrack on the commission. And he says, well, I know there's an agent out there that said they'll do it for a flat rate of $7,500 and it's a $2 million home. Right. So you're still going to have to be able to now. And she calls me with an SOS call. He said, and there are those help you sell agents that'll do it for a flat fee of $7,500. Why do I want to pay you $40,000? And I know she's worth every penny.
I guess they also shop at Shein or Shine, right? Is that how do you spread? So is that where you get all of your clothes in your $2.5 million house as well? Just out of curiosity, because that's what you're comparing me to right now.
right? I heard that there was a study done recently, and less than 35% of the public reported knowing anything about the lawsuit. And then those that reported knowing something about the lawsuit, what they thought they knew or what they reported they knew was way off base. And so the message is, let us be the word, right? Get out there and talk to people and be the word and let people know what's really going on, as opposed to, the media twist on it, which is wait a little while, buyers, and you're going to save money, because that's not happening. That is hurting the buyers.
Yeah, well, Teresa's been handling it really well. She's had buyers and sellers asking her these questions, and she's been prepared. So giving Teresa a shout out on this. I have a client who the seller said, okay, I'll offer the commission out at 6%. But when that lawsuit is solidified in July or whenever, I'm taking away 3%.
With the idea that they'll negotiate for it when the contract comes. I mean, I kind of feel like that's the way it should be. I'm sorry. If we're going to go to the letter of the law of the contract.
Oh, no, he doesn't want to offer out at anything. The seller says it's 0.
And here's the issue with that, Charlotte, and as I understand how they're going to handle it, and I see it as an issue. Maybe it won't be. But the document that we have to get signed before we can show the property includes what the buyer is willing to pay for the commission.
If the seller doesn't pay anything, yes.
Right. Mm-hmm.
My understanding is it has to say what I'm going to be compensated, right?
Yes.
So that means if the seller's not offering anything, the buyer's paying it, right?
Right.
That has to be shown with the offer. So why the seller, if they're playing,
why would they?
If they're playing poker, they're going to keep their hand close to their chest at a 0 to first see what those buyers are going to.
So you guys would have to show the sellers the buyer's contract?
That's been discussed. And again, the only thing that is in the NAR facts and questions about this is about the compensation not being in MLS, and that we have to have that document signed before we show the property. The other part I've just heard in discussions.
Do you currently give the seller the copy of the buyer's agreement?
The one of the states I work in requires it, and yes, the other state, no.
The other state doesn't. Interesting.
I feel
like the commission shouldn't be on that sheet then. I mean, that just doesn't make sense.
It doesn't at all. Because here's the other thing is that part of that same discussion is that the sellers will not have to pay extra. So if the buyer says, I'll pay you this much, and the seller's actually offering this much, that gap just goes away. So there's a lot of parts of this that are not ironed out yet. And that could be part of why it got pushed back.
Yeah,
it could be.
I don't know the exact reason why it got pushed back, but I mean, I think it's a lot more complex putting into practice. I call it messy in the middle, right? It's going to be messy for a little while.
So couldn't it be simplified? And I am not a realtor, so you guys might kick me under the table with this.
Well, we won't kick you.
Okay. So I'm a listing agent. I tell my seller, hey, my charge is 3%. Most buyers agents are going to come in at 3%, but we don't have to discuss that. I want you to price it. We're going to do everything based on figuring worst case scenario. They're going to come in with probably a 3% buy side commission. But the great news is we don't have to negotiate that right now because it's going to depend on where your buyer comes from and what they negotiate. My fee is this. And if I have a buyer, if a buyer comes to me, which is the best case in the world if that happens, because then you're going to know exactly what's going on. You know that you're going to have the best agent in the world working both sides. But if I do the buyer, my fee for the buyers is this. And then when the buyer comes from another agent and they bring a contract, I don't think it should say what the buyers are willing to pay if the sellers don't. That's crazy. But they bring a contract and they ask for 2%. Well, then now the seller has already agreed to your 3%. And now they're going to pay the 2% that's negotiated in that contract. That's just simple to me. Why are we getting all messy in the middle? Just make it to where that you set the expectations of what's probably going to happen. You get the option. If somebody sends you a crappy offer, you can say, no, I'm not going to pay this.
Right, exactly. And negotiate it.
Yeah, just like we always negotiate everything. And I'm just going to say really quick, just kind of public service announcement. These are all hypothetical ideas and numbers. We're not putting anything out there as a norm. However, I completely agree. It always has been negotiable. right?
Yes.
It's just one more thing in the contract that we're negotiating. And that's another interesting piece getting behind the scenes on this. The data that was collected and put in front of the jury included the commission that was offered to the buyer's agency representation. It didn't get into the nitty gritty of where it actually ended up. And there's a really big difference between when we input stuff in the multiple listing until closing. That number doesn't always stay the same.
Right.
And that was not part of the information that was put in front of the jury, unfortunately,
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
shows the negotiation.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. So we'll switch topics. However, there's still so much to learn and understand and scenarios. And so, no, I'm not surprised that this has gotten extended because of this, because I'm not sure how well it was thought through, or that, even if it was well thought through, there's still more stuff that's popping up, right? Because it's not as much as we want it to be simple, like keep it simple, stupid real estate.
People aren't going to make it simple.
Yeah. It's not gonna be simple.
No, I look at whatever's been put out there. It kind of reminds me of the person sitting behind the desk that works for the medical insurance agency that's telling you that they're not going to pay for the prescription that your physician who went to medical school recommended you have, right? It's like you've got someone who's not in the field. And that's what I see about this too, is we have people that are behind desks and they're talking about theories and talk to those of us that are out practicing it, please.
Yeah.
No, absolutely.
Okay, so I'm putting you ladies on the spot. However, a fun question is, what's the best part of being a female business owner? And we don't even have to put female in there. What's the best part, Charlotte, of being a business owner? And I know yours is a little quotation marks. I know yours is
still, but the sky is the limit, right? Yeah. I am literally the captain of my ship. So I can choose how far I want to take this ship. I can decide when I want to turn it. I can make those decisions, and my paycheck and what I earn is 100% based on the effort that I put in. And if the effort doesn't work, then I can change my ship and reroute and make it work again. So the creativity that it allows me to have and the control of my own destiny. I'm a control freak, right? So I want to be able to control my destiny.
You're a control freak and you are extremely creative. I mean, your videos are the most creative videos, right? So yes. So yes, and yes, you are. I love any sailing metaphors. I'm all in. So I loved every single sentence. Karen, you best part of being a business owner.
Well, I would echo everything that Charlotte said, and then I would add to it the people that I get to help. I get to help the wheels of commerce of their family turn, right? So all of the people that support, all of our support staff, our other agents, our home inspectors, our backup band, as Tanya calls it. I love that. I love that we are a part of their success too.
Yeah.
And I was going to say that when it comes to leading, so even though I don't own the own company, now that I'm a leader, I get to do kind of some of that. And that is awesome when you can inspire somebody to take their business to the next level.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, you're both phenomenal team leaders, right? You both have, agents under you, lenders that you manage, and realtors. And so, yes, you are both phenomenal leaders. And, again, I know, Charlotte, you're not currently, originating loans. However, when you were, you impacted your people's lives, and now you're helping your team impact, the consumers' lives. And Karen, you are, and also wearing two hats as a broker and a real estate agent, right? You impact agents, you impact, homeowners too. So yeah, it is really cool to watch people reach their goals and overcome challenges, improve their credit, or overcoming their fear of, being a first-time home buyer and the safety of renting, all that kind of stuff.
Yep.
I can guess Tanya's. Tanya's is the free spirit. she gets to make all the choices when she wants to make them, and nobody can tell her what to do because she's going to give them the bird.
Yeah, right. She's going to do it her way anyways.
I hope my coach isn't listening, because it's like, I am not an easy woman to coach, right? Because so I was on my coach call today, and my coach is like, how are you doing with that 14-day plan we set up? Can you ask me a different question? It was just 14 days, Tanya. 14 days. Well, I've done some phenomenal things during the 14 days, but that plan that he wanted me to do and is making me do, right? I'm exaggerating. It was more like a 12-day plan, so it was not an epic fail. But yeah, that free spirit runs deep in me. It really, really does. I do pity anybody who steps up to the plate to coach me, because I can go into the dark side and I don't want to. Again, it's like what you were saying, Charlotte and Karen, it's our choices, and we have the choices to make our businesses fly, or we have the choice to, sink. And I am no way on this green earth am I sinking. So I need to rein it in.
You're the sailboat. I might be a little bit more of like a bigger tugboat.
Yeah, but wouldn't it be cool if we were all speedboats? Right? I'll hop on the speedboat to cross that finish line, but yep, I've got a tack, and like, oops, that's the wrong tack. Let's get that on track.
I want to go this way.
Yeah.
And most of us are. But yeah, speedboat would be a great metaphor. Straight go. Yeah.
I like it.
Anything else? Anybody want to ask any questions? I have not had any questions. Had some great comments. Any questions before we hang up? Yeah, like I'm on a telephone. Any more questions before we end? I had to learn the lingo. If you have any, I'll wait a second. If you have any questions for Karen or Charlotte or for myself, we are doing this monthly, so I'm excited about that. It's going to be a monthly, see what's happening.
Awesome.
Anything that you ladies want to say or advertise or promote or anything, go for it.
I'm just going to say right now that if you're out there and you're listening and you need to know how to show your value, you got to start with Coach Tanya, because she's going to help you find your values.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Best in the world at it.
Thank you. And so I'm going to promote something. I do have my quarterly, I do a free workshop for the real estate profession, and we are focusing on that's I have it broken up into thirds, and the first third of that workshop, which is an hour and a half, is being able to articulate your superpowers and own them. So thank you. And that's May 24th. So if you need any information, just DM me and I can get it to you. How about you, Karen? What do you have coming up?
Well, I was just going to say that if you're a real estate agent in California or Idaho markets and you are looking for a boutique brokerage to work for where the broker is accessible for training and coaching you and working side by side with you, give me a call.
Absolutely. I second that. Right. Yep. So thank you, Charlotte. Anything else you want to promote before I hang up, Charlotte? Or
I mean, if we have any listeners on the East Coast.
Yes, thank you for staying up late with us.
If you have any listeners on the East Coast, I am definitely looking for lenders that love this vibe. If you like this vibe, this is us all day, every day. I'm the Energizer Bunny, and my team calls me that, and this is what you get. If you like that, you should call us, because that's what the company is about. So we're looking for good people that value fun and all of the energy and just going out there and helping people. That's what we do.
Very cool.
All three of us. I mean, I always say it takes one to know one, right? Yeah. And great minds think alike. I think the three of us make a great team. So thank you for being here. Thank you for everybody showing up. And I'm officially ending the stream. Let's see if I have music. That's one of those things that, Tanya needs to, this is where a producer would be nice.
Feel that.
Put it on your goal